again, one thing that you talk a lot about this book, you criticize PH 1.0's appointees, ministers who lack the ability and lack the experience, which I agree. I think I was quite surprised. In fact, that's one thing that you talk about how, what's his name, the education minister, Mazli.
Yes.
And he was surprised that he became education minister. I don't know how that happens. Now, but, these appointees did not have the gravitas to inspire us. Was it just a case that the PH government was bad at spotting talent? Were they better opposition as opposed to a government? Or was it all just orchestrated negligence from Mahathir's side to implode the PH 1.0 government?
Again, the problem in Mahathir was, as I said, this remains my thesis, my belief, that from the beginning, all he wanted was revenge. Everything else he did was an afterthought in order to get into government. Because firstly, he didn't believe he'd get into government. So he thought, fine, I'll agree to all of this stuff, but when and if ever I get into government, maybe we have to resolve it. Then he is in government. Then he's got to figure out what to do. And remember, for the first 22 years, he had the entire BN infrastructure, right? And what we're talking about is at all levels of government, you would have people, you'd have political appointees, people who had experience from the corporate side and what have you coming in to contribute to a proper government, right? This is why he was able to come up with Wawasan 2020, a proper plan to help Malaysia develop, right? Take Malaysia to make it a tiger economy, all of that stuff. But under PH 1.0, it was just one man, right? Because he had resigned from UMNO, he'd formed Bersatu. Majority of those members in Bersatu were those who were actually thrown out of UMNO for one reason or another. And that's all you had. You didn't have the rump Malays supporting you. You didn't have corporate Malaysia supporting you. You had no one. And similarly for the other Pakatan Harapan members, DAP and PKR, they were never in government, right? So they didn't have people to step in. You didn't have first-line people to come in and become technocrats, right? What you had were politicians, great at rallying people, great at building excitement, but not necessarily so good at implementing government policy.
Yeah, that's true.
Or learning how to do that. And the problem is also, in any other democratic system, when a new administration takes up, yes, they will be talking crap about the previous administration, but when they take up, they try and build unity. So they try and use people from the previous administration in the current administration. Even the Republicans and Democrats do that in the US. Conservatives and Labour in the UK also do that. But what happened in Malaysia was, instead of having South Africa's truth and reconciliation style, where you admit you are wrong, you admit and then you work together to build a country, we started having something more akin to the Spanish Inquisition, where you take people, you torture and you persecute them. Not prosecute, you persecute them. So, in that kind of climate, a climate of fear, do you think professionals would want to come and join you? Do you think those within the civil service would be willing to give that additional bit to help the government? Do you think people with ideas will want to contribute? No, because everyone's afraid. Why? Because for 61 years we had this system, and almost everyone in the country had some link or another to the previous administration. So the fear was palpable, right? Oh, fine, I come forward and contribute. Then all of a sudden you find out that my cousin's uncle's brother is somehow related to somebody in MIC or MCA or what have you, and then I'm persona non grata.
Yeah, that was a problem.
So at that point you lose talent, right? And so they didn't have talent, right? So the first couple of months, even the Prime Minister's office, there were so many offices empty. And it's not because there was huge amounts of space in Perdana Putra. The fact was they just didn't have enough people that they could appoint to these positions. They just didn't have it. There was just no one.